The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hey, everybody, this is the Tax Lady, and there will probably be no other Ask the Tax Lady show like today, because I have a holdover from the last 2 hours. Glenn and Mike are staying, the financial guys are staying with me for the hour, and you can talk about anything you like. We thought we'd talk about retirement and retirement planning, but this is open lines. You can give us a call, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on your cell phone. And so I got Glenn and Mike here, and so we would never talk about politics.
No, we're all warmed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We're fired up, depending on how we look at it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, well, I thought we would talk a little bit about some of the tax law changes. Mm-hmm. For instance, I don't know if any of your clients know, one of the big changes under the Trump tax cuts was that now the kiddie tax, you guys are familiar with kiddie tax? Mm-hmm. So that if your kid, you've pushed off income to your kid, the kid would have paid at the parent's rate,
mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Now, it isn't that the kid is going to pay at the parent's rate. The kid now pays at estate and trust rate.
Oh, even better.
So, it's
no,
worse.
I know.
Worse,
I'm being sarcastic.
So $2,550.
She's not getting our humor yet. No.
That's true. I'm used to you guys being hard-hitting. Under $2,550, they pay at 10%. $2,550 to $9,150, they pay 24%. Now, this is the dividends and interest, right? $9,150 to $12,500, they pay at 35%, and anything over $12,500, they pay at 37%. So you want to make sure that you talk to your clients about maybe moving that into something tax deferred, like an annuity.
The kids get a different job, maybe.
That's right. So,
look, honey, I would love to have you working in my store, but this just isn't working out. I can't afford it.
So anyway, so that's one of the changes that happened in the tax laws. And so if you're somebody that had put money in your children's name and you're claiming them as dependents, you want to be aware that the kiddie tax has really, I'm going to say modified, but it's really gone up.
Your name, by the way,
yes,
gets mentioned at least once a day in the financial guy's office, Monday through Friday. And it's because you said to us years ago, it's not what you make that's important, it's what you keep.
That's true.
And we give you 100% credit for that. The entire staff. It's funny, I heard Mike Hayflick say it one time. We were in a meeting a few months ago, and he said, look, if you ever listen to Esther, she says it's not what you make that's important, it's what you keep.
That's
so we
true.
talk about looking at the buckets and making sure you're not afraid.
That's why I thought maybe we talk about retirements because...
Can I mention something you just said, by the way? Because the show before us, which I think is just absolutely awful.
No. The show before this was us.
Yeah,
that was a great show.
I said the show before us.
Our show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you mentioned something, the word annuity. And years ago, we used to beat up on annuities because they were very expensive. But one of the things they are is tax deferred. And the show before us will say, oh, ridiculous. Nobody should ever use an annuity. I'll say, how could you say that nobody should ever use something when you haven't even asked them what their goals and objectives are?
Right.
Because sometimes the goal and objectives is, I make a ton of money and I give half of it to the government and I'm sick of doing that.
Right.
And for 50 basis points, I can tax defer my whole thing. That might not be a bad deal.
And isn't it true most of the annuities are 5-year front-loaded, right?
Well, some of them are
back end into pretty much. So
but some of them are liquid now.
Hold.
Some of them are liquid where you can buy an annuity,
but
liquid.
See, here's the thing.
Take it out.
If you had put money in a kid's name, for instance, if you move it into an annuity, it doesn't even affect their financial aid.
The thing you got to be careful
for. It doesn't go against them on the financial aid part.
But what you got to be careful with, if it's in the child's name and it goes into an annuity or any sort of product like that, then you've got the tax deferral. But if they ever want to take it out before 59.5,
of course.
See, and I think that's where annuities get a bad rap oftentimes, or other products get a bad rap, is because people sometimes use them for the wrong thing. And we've seen that where you got a product that is put in the kid's name, it's meant for college,
right.
And then they go to take it out and they suffer a 10% IRS penalty on all the earnings because they're not 59.5. So,
right. But there's certainly a place for them. That's the whole point.
But here's the thing: if let's say that that your kid has you're doing 20,000 in investments, so he's going to pay at 37%. So he's paying like 7,000 a year.
Right.
Huge
Right?
numbers.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you figure on 10 years, that's $70,000.
Right.
Right.
That's a lot of money. Because
That's
let's
right.
face it, the money you put into the annuity is after-tax dollars, so
Yeah.
you're not going. So it's only the growth that you would pay that 10% on. It's
Not what you make that's important.
It's
Esther.
what
It's
you
what
keep,
you keep.
right?
A wise
Absolutely.
soul once told me
Right.
that.
I am Esther Gullius, the tax lady, with Mike and Glenn, the financial guys. If you have any questions, comments, give us a call in here in studio, 8030930. 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. And we're going to go to, this is completely different. These two guys are sitting here, and they're so good. We're going to Bob in West Seneca. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Esther.
How can I help you, sir?
I have a question. My girlfriend my girlfriend gets $1,800 a month for Social Security. She has nothing but that. She don't have to pay taxes on that, does she?
She has no other source of income, just the $1,800.
No.
And there's no stocks, nothing she sold, nothing like that.
She's only got me.
All right, then it's tax-free.
Okay, now tell them two liberals that you got over there. I would follow them and
Yes?
who's that other guy? Who's that other guy? Oh, I can't.
You mean Mike and Glenn?
Yeah,
No.
Mike and Glenn. I would follow those two guys to hell.
Oh, that's great. What a great comment.
I think.
Is that?
But they don't want to go to hell, Bob.
But I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks, Bob.
No.
All right,
I'll
thanks
take
for
that.
the
I take
kind
that as
words.
a compliment.
How
Thank
about
you so
over a
much.
cliff? Because maybe we have a chance of surviving.
That sounded better. Yeah.
All right, so
But that was
But
nice.
yeah,
of you.
thank
that's
you.
great. I mean, and you do have to say, I mean, you guys have no political opinions.
No.
Nope.
No, you would classify
We're very
us, I would
mild-
say, as moderate.
Moderate.
Right in the
Very
middle.
mild-mannered.
Center of the aisle.
And not real opinionated.
No.
All right,
Neutral.
so let's talk for a minute here about the immigration thing. What do you really feel would be? See, to me, there should be. I hate it that everybody's mad at each other.
Yeah, here's the
I
thing.
think that there should be some way
Yep.
to communicate so something can get
He-
done.
here's the thing.
Besides executive orders.
But we need to really
That's-
talk about fixing this, right? And fixing the problem on a global level, right? There's a reason people want to get into this country. Some
Right,
people want to
because
sell heroin
we're
to
doing
kids,
good.
but some people want a better job and a better life, right?
Right.
The reality is if we took everybody in the world and said that we could physically fit into the U.S., right?
Right.
We said, look at open borders, we want you here. It would do very little to change any of the problems in the world, right? So the fact of the matter is we don't need to fix, but they need to fix their own place. And that's just not happening by letting people sneak over the border, right? The other thing is America, we want America great. I want America safe. My daughter is sitting next
I
to
understand.
me. I don't want gang members sneaking into the
I
country,
understand.
right?
Well,
I
this
want the best
really
of the
has
best.
nothing to do with people getting into the country. It has to do with manipulating
Well,
the voting
how
stock.
they get in the country, right?
Because they want-
the first
they
step
want
into the
votes.
country is you're doing something illegal,
Right.
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 That's
So-
the first
Right.
introduction
Right.
to our
Right.
country.
But even those that haven't done something illegal, let's go to legal. Let's talk about legal immigration for a second. We used to, in the old days, bring in doctors, engineers. I mean, you think about World War II.
Right.
There was a race to bring in German scientists because the
Right.
Russians were trying to get them, right? We went out and we found the best and the brightest throughout the entire world to bring to this country to make this country great. And then somewhere along the way, and I think it was in the 80s, we went to a lottery system or we went to chain immigration or chain migration, where if you're here, you can bring your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, your brother, your sister's brother, and so on and so forth. That's not going out and getting a lottery system is not going out and getting the best and brightest. A lottery system is saying we will randomly select you. You could be a terrorist, or you could be an engineer.
It sounds so.
It's stupid.
It sounds so nasty.
Yeah,
That's all.
Can I add one other
But
thing?
that's what we. But look, here's the thing. But if we need to fix immigration by going back to a merit-based immigration policy where we're bringing in folks and we're looking for people that that are going to add value to America, that are going to be contributing members of
All right,
society.
so we're going to take a
That's
break.
what I
Wait,
want.
can I add
wait,
one-
No, wait, hang on. We're going to hold. Mike and Glenn are here. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about how to solve the problem. Hey, this is Esther Villius, the tax lady, with the financial guys, Glenn Wiggle and Mike Lomas, and this may be the most unusual Ask the Tax Lady that we've ever had. I'm so glad the guys stayed. We're talking about taxes. We're talking about the tax law changes. We're talking about immigration. Anything that you would like to talk to these two so unpretentious, they have no opinions, these two guys. So 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. Okay, so how do we solve it?
Well, so we're talking, one of the things is like a road to success, right? And Glenn was talking about years ago, illegal immigrants. One of the things we did, though, was we tried to assure their success years ago, right? We would bring them into the country to have to be sponsored, right? You would have a family that support you. You would have to understand the language. We asked you to learn English, right?
Right.
I had a buddy of mine who moved to Costa Rica after he was in chiropractic school. He moved to Costa Rica because he wanted to be able to adjust a lot of people. He said, I graduated from college, but I want to be able to adjust a lot of people to get the practice, right? One of the things he did was he taught himself Spanish before he went over there, right? Right now, what we're doing is these folks are coming in. 50% of them are ending up on welfare. That's not the American dream. That's not what we did 40, 50 years ago, right? 60 years ago.
The elephant in the room, though, is...
Well, there's
it's everything that a Republican says makes it sound like they're money hungry, they're mean spirited. Well, I mean, that's what everybody always talks about. Oh, we want to throw grandma over the hill and everything. But the truth is, the elephant in the room is that one party wants new voters.
Well, that's right. That's right. Let me say this, though. If you really want to fix it,
preserve the American way of life. And that's the rub.
If coming across as being mean, like Mike and Glenn are mean, we're telling the truth. We're being honest, right? And we don't have enough of that in this country, right? Everybody's offended by everything.
But because they dress it up.
Well, look,
they dress it up like you don't
the
love
truth of
the families.
The truth of the matter is
the families. You want
the
truth
of the matter is
out of the arms
truth
of
of the matter is
parents.
number one is that America's not the women's battered women's shelter of the world, right? We're not here to say we're going to accept everybody. We're also $20 trillion in debt. We don't have $20 trillion in a surplus where we can say, come on over, we'll feed you, we'll give you medical care, no problem. You want to use our schools, $20,000 per student, no problem. We are $20 trillion in debt.
We have millions of people living on the street. Go to California.
Yeah.
There's American citizens, there's veterans, people that fought for our freedom living on the street. Right. And to me, if I sound mean because I want them to have help before an illegal immigrant has help, a kid or otherwise, then so be it. Here's the thing. Let me put it in perspective for you. For you liberals out there that might say Republicans sound mean, okay? Let's take your home, for example. If you're going to open your home, let's say you had to bring in somebody to your house and you were going to bring them in, they were going to live with you for a while. Would you, A, want to bring in a doctor or an engineer, somebody educated from another country? Or would you want to bring in an MS-13 gang member? Would you want to bring in somebody who's uneducated, who doesn't have, the background of going to school and working? Or, think about that. I mean, we're opening our home, our country to folks. I want those folks to come in and be active members that are positive contributing members of our society. Because if we go under, if we're out of business as a country, right? Mm-hmm. If we go bankrupt, that's the worst thing that could happen. I mean, we had a dark ages in our history, right?
Okay, but I
don't want to go back there.
But, all right, so Glenn, you sound like you wouldn't want people that are poor to come in.
It's not about being poor.
But
it's nothing to do with wealth.
And here's my thing. I think that people need to come in correctly.
Right.
Legally.
That's right.
See, I don't want to. I mean, I think there should be merit based.
That's right. Merit based.
But
what are your thoughts on chain migration?
People that are also being persecuted.
Of course.
But you have to come in legally.
That's right. Well, but right. But what's happening right now is the first step into our country is you broke our laws. Right. Those are not good people. As Glenn pointed out, if you move somebody into your house, right, first night. I bring somebody into my home. I say, look, you need help. I bring you in. And the first night we find out they robbed the bank. Right. They robbed the 7-Eleven, right? Would you want that person in your house the next day? No. That was the first transaction, the first night in the house, right?
What if the first transaction was they broke into your home and you woke up next to them in your bed thinking, okay, like, that's not right. Like, you're in my house. What are you doing in my living room?
90,
but the thing is, how do we
We have a
couch
huge
this-
drug problem in this country.
But
right?
how do
Huge
you
drug problem.
couch this in a way that the
first of all-
opposition, that the news media
I think-
doesn't make it sound like that
There's
you don't
nothing
care
you can
about
do.
people?
I don't think
there's
anything
nothing
you
you can do as a Republican.
You're not going to stop CNN.
You could
to mask it.
Trump could cure cancer,
Right.
And they'd be holding signs going, "I have a right to die from cancer. Don't take my cancer away. I have a right to die from cancer." That's what they would say.
Or
It'd be crazy.
more realistically, they just wouldn't pick the story up, right? As an example, there was a report last week that we are at a record low food stamps. Record low. That's a good thing,
That
right?
is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Where do you hear that? Nowhere
Nowhere.
to be found, right?
Because it
Unless
doesn't
Mr.
fit the
Trump
rhetoric.
tweets
Exactly.
it. That's right.
Because the whole thing
That's right.
is they don't really.
So,
I heard
I
people
think we
this
have
week
to
say we would like there to be a recession.
The fact that-
because
That's
if a
right.
recession will go away.
The fact
But
of the matter
they're
is,
afraid
his
Trump will.
popularity,
That's right.
by the way, is at an all-time high right now. He will walk right back into office, and the same people that say, "Oh, his poll numbers are down," those were the same people that said he didn't have a shot of winning in 2 Novembers ago.
Well, I sure wish that the Congress could get something
You
done.
you
Permanently.
have said though, and
You
you
and
are
me both.
absolutely right. There is a number of Republicans that need to go. And that is the problem. And
Well,
we've
they're
been
the
saying for a
biggest
long
obstacle.
time, they are the biggest obstacle to Donald Trump accomplishing success is the Republican Party, not the Democrats.
All right, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, with guess who's in studio? Mike and Glenn, the financial guys, and we are taking your phone calls, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 and a cell phone. And let's go to Holly, who's been waiting. Hey, Holly.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted like a yes or no on with college debt. I thought I heard on one of your shows before that there's been some changes where before it was like there was no way to like claim bankruptcy or get breaks, but that now there is.
Okay, so yes, you can have your college debt canceled due to a harsh situation. In other words, if you are unable to work or you have a medical condition, there is a way to have college debt canceled. Also, if you're working for a not-for-profit, and you register right away and you've been making timely payments, after 10 years, your college debt can be forgiven. So if anybody's working for a not-for-profit, and a lot of people don't realize that Buffalo General's a not-for-profit, the state of New York is a you bet the state of New York is a not-for-profit. The federal government's not-for-profit. So you would contact your the agency managing your loan, and you would let them know, and after 10 years of making consistent payments, the college debt can be also forgiven.
One little trick there, though, if you're registered as a Republican, that's all null and void.
That's right.
Don't listen to him.
No, we're just
Holly,
teasing
don't
Holly.
listen to him. All
But
right?
a regular bankruptcy is no go, right? I mean, if
regular bankruptcy is no
Yeah,
go.
and Holly, you don't want to do that. I mean, if you're an able-bodied person, bankruptcy is a mess. I think a lot of people, years and years ago, the rules were you could go bankrupt. The Bush administration changed this, but and rightfully so, is that you could go bankrupt, you wash away everything in a few years, you were back in your.
But you
with a
can't
high
get rid of
credit score.
college debt with a bankruptcy.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that anymore.
or tax liens, right?
Yeah.
Or tax liens.
I will say, and I
Well,
know
no, tax liens can be taken.
Can they?
Yeah, in a bankruptcy. Yeah.
So you can get rid of tax
right, as long as it's mature. It's been for at least a year. You can put it into a bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy. Okay, you
Yes,
can.
but you can't get rid of college debt.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say, and I know you've done college shows with our college planning
Yep.
expert, Jeff Boron, but it brings up, that's a whole different topic of the cost of college education
tell
and
me.
understanding what you're getting for the value. It was so many kids coming out with a liberal arts degree, and nothing against that, but you really have to say, where am I going to get employed to pay this back, right?
Right.
And the government has made a mess out of colleges, like they've made a mess out of everything else, which is, oh, don't worry about it. You can take out a loan. No problem. There's
Well,
no
they don't even
reason.
call it a loan.
There's no reason to,
They call it aid.
Yeah.
Student
Yeah,
aid.
yeah. The best is the people go, hey, good news, I got student aid. Like, no, that's a loan. That's like you're going to pay that back, right?
Right.
And you better understand what you're getting for the
Well,
value.
I just went to 2 graduations the last 2 days, and I will tell you, you hear some of these kids, and it's $35,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year for their college.
When you look at the things that the government has gotten their arms around, healthcare, college, tuition, anything that they put their arms around, the costs
Skyrockets.
Skyrocket, right? They took over student loans as part of the Obamacare, and the college costs, they were already going up at an astronomical rate. Now they're going up at triple that rate, right?
You've got kids
It's
that don't know
nuts.
anything about money, right? Professors, not all of them. There's a lot of good professors out there, but a big chunk of them that could care less, right? Schools that, hey, look, little Billy got, he won. He won the loan. Everything's cool. No problem. Raise the price up again. Little Billy's not writing a check. No clue, right? And then little Billy doesn't understand that when he gets out with a liberal arts degree, nobody gives a darn.
That's
Right.
true.
Nobody cares.
I don't know where the money goes though, because when you talk to college professors, they're not making $400,000 or $500,000
No,
a
they're
year,
not.
and many of them are
They're not.
struggling at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000
That's
a
right.
year. So you
a
think,
lot of them are educated
where does the money go?
professors. Right.
300 people in a room times 30 grand a year.
Right, exactly. They're paying the guy $50,000. That's right. 300 kids in that class paying $40,000 each. Like,
All
where's
they
the
need to
money
do
going?
is walk down to the math professor and say, "Can I spend an hour with you to figure this mess out?"
Right, exactly.
Okay, I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady from EG Tax, and we are talking immigration, we're talking taxes, we're talking the tax law changes, and we have Mike and Glenn, the financial guys, who were kind enough to hang over for my hour because Tiffany and Christopher's daughter just graduated from Clarence.
Congratulations.
And
I
yes,
can't
so
believe that, by the way.
She's going
I
to
know.
college.
We've been friends forever, and she's like
It's
a little
nuts.
baby still.
She's not.
That's-
She's now.
I know. It's
She's
crazy.
a beautiful young woman, and she's going to Stony Brook.
That's awesome.
Going to Stony Brook.
Congratulations.
So I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady. We're going to take a short break for news, and we'll be back on the other side. Hey, I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady from EG Tax, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on your cell phone. We got the financial guys as our special guests, Mike Lomas and Glenn Wiggle. And I will tell you, I thought we'd talk about retirement planning, too. Are you guys up
We
for
can,
that?
absolutely.
I mean, they
Always.
can straighten out the world, too. But maybe because I thought, wouldn't it be great to get some professional advice as to retirement planning?
Sure.
What do you find, when you look at people's finances, how well are people really fixed looking at retirement?
It's like a tale of two stories, right? A tale of two worlds. You have some people, when you look at the annual statistics, that are woefully unprepared, right? I think the average 45-year-old has a 401k balance of like less than 40 grand. However, most of the folks that we're seeing, fortunately, the other side of that is folks have done a fairly decent job of accumulating assets, meaning that they've gotten this thing from this bank and this piece over here. So they've cobbled together a portfolio without even really realizing it by just doing things like investing in their 401k. And so they're oftentimes coming to us because now it's time to kind of get it together into a plan, right? So they've been able to accumulate assets, but they don't really know where they're going with it, and it's not really cohesive and working together. And so, those folks are better off. They just need to figure out where they are today and where they need to be so that they can kind of start to target some goals and move in that direction
So
so
when
they
do
can
you
get to
start?
retirement.
When do you really, Mike, what do you
Well,
think?
you start as soon as the sooner the better, right?
So
saving.
how is it that people don't? They'll have a pension plan
Well, they
at
want-
work, and they don't sign, and it may
You
be
got to
one
pay
with the
yourself
match.
first.
You got to pay yourself first, and you've got to be really focused and worried about it. That is part of these new generation of kids is they want the best cell phone. They have to have the biggest flat screen TV. They've got to have the coolest car. I'll tell you, I'm not going to give the story of I walked to school both ways uphill with no shoes because I didn't. But the fact of the matter is, when I started in college, I wasn't driving the fanciest cars, right? I didn't have, the brand new IROC Z Camaro. I had an Omni. Now, my friends called it the Omni Super Sport, and the back door didn't open or the back hatch didn't open, but you made those types of sacrifices to put money away. The other thing I think today is people are not embracing technology the way they should, and that really comes down to using like financial planning software to be able to bring that roadmap together. I'm a visual person. I like seeing pie charts. I like seeing stick figures, and I like seeing my plan in a visual chart to say, here's where I am, here's where I need to be, and here's how I can get there. And people don't know that. Even people that have accumulated a lot of wealth, they've got it all over the place. And that's why they'll come in a lot of times and they'll say, I'm a little embarrassed. I don't know where all this stuff is. I don't know what it's in. And we'll say, that's okay. That's why you're here, to try to bring all that together. And oftentimes it's funny. People will have investments at this firm and this firm and this firm. And they'll say, why did you do that? Why do you have all these 3 different firms? And they'll say, well, I wanted to diversify, and then we'll plug it all into our software, and we'll realize, did you know the same 3 firms bought you the same 3 things? And they'll say, no, I didn't know that. So sometimes thinking you're diversified might actually hurt you because you're really not.
I think ING is no longer around. They're like Voya now or something, but they had that great commercial. I don't know why they went away from it, but it was knowing your number, right? What is that retirement number? What? Remember they were walking down the street and the guy's got like a bajillion over his head or something like that, and the other guy's got a solid number, a million something. Knowing where you need to go is half of the battle.
So is that what you guys do when you sit and you work with somebody with a fine? Do they first have to come in with money, or do you?
We can do both.
Make a plan for somebody like maybe a kid's just getting out of college.
Yeah.
He's got his first job.
Sure.
He wants to pay off that student loan debt. You guys work with somebody?
Absolutely. Our job is to help folks build wealth.
Okay.
Right? And so, yes, if that individual comes in, we can set them up with a monthly plan, or we even have things now. Again, technology is a great equalizer. There are programs out there we can do for employers that don't want to, then maybe they're too small, they can't do a 401k. We can now set up payroll deduction IRAs for folks through a company that we found in St. Pete's Beach in Florida, which is fantastic. So there's so many things that we can do to help people begin that process of saving, whether you're 21 years old coming out of college or you're 51 years old preparing for retirement.
Biggest thing is, and we get this question all the time, right? Folks will say, I listen to your radio. How much money do I need to retire? That's how much money do I need to retire? And I'll give the same answer every time. I'll look them dead in the eyes and I'll say, about $300 million. $300 million. And that sounds like, come on, $300 million? Well, that is impossible for me to answer unless we know what type of lifestyle you want to live.
Right.
And I can tell you that we have clients with us that have been retired for 15 years. They have $200,000 invested with us, but they have a pension and they have Social Security and they live within their means.
Right.
We also have clients that have $10 million with us that can't retire, and we're putting together a plan to get them from 10 to 20 because they have multiple cars, multiple homes,
and that's
maybe
how
a
they
small
wanna
airplane, and that's the lifestyle they want to live. So it's funny to me. It's one of the ways, by the way, to screen out looking for financial planners. If they start asking you about, or you should invest in this, or you should buy this, or my favorite is I own this, and we'll say, well, maybe my risk tolerance is very aggressive, but yours is very conservative. You shouldn't own what I own, right? But developing a roadmap and understanding where your number is so important, and that comes back to doing homework, understanding. First part of the homework, by the way, we give everybody is, what are your expenses? How much money do you live on? Because that's how we're going to develop a plan. Do you need $100,000 in retirement, or do you need $50,000? Do you need $200,000, or do you need $2 million, right? Because those numbers are all going to change. And doing a homework, setting up a homework process, perfect way to screen for financial advisors. If they're not giving you homework, you walk right out the door.
And homework means you sit down with them and say,
what is your
needs? What do you like
That's
to
right.
do? Do you want
That's
to travel?
That's right.
Yeah, where are you spending your money?
How far in advance, though, do you need to do that?
Well, I mean, the sooner the better, but, you're going to redo things several times.
So 21, 30?
Well, let's say you come in at 21, you say, I want to do my retirement plan. I mean, do you really know at 21 what your lifestyle is going to be?
No.
And so, you're going to go through different phases as you age, and we're going to do the retirement plan over and over. I mean,
but
it's not a set it and forget it.
That everybody that has a pension plan, especially with the match, that should be a no-brainer.
Oh, absolutely.
With 401k, if you have if you're getting free money from your employer because they're matching your 401k and you plan on staying there throughout the vesting period, absolutely that should be one of the first things that you look at to save, no doubt.
Yep. Okay. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on cell phone. We got two great financial guys. Mike and Glenn, the financial guys, are here. Whether you want to talk about taxes, whether you have a financial question, now's your time to pick their brains, while they're not bloviating about President Trump and et cetera, et cetera. We can really just pick their brains. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. And we got Karen. Hi, Karen. How can we help you?
Yes, hi. I'm calling because my husband is turning 62 in September, and he was wondering whether it would be best for him to collect Social Security right away at 62 or maybe wait till 64. His maximum is 66 and a half, I think, when he can get his Social Security.
Okay, is he going to keep working, Karen, or is he going to retire?
Well, he was thinking of just semi-retiring.
And going down to how much income?
Probably about $20,000 to $25,000.
Okay, so because he's under the age of 65, he is limited in the amount of wages that he can get. It's around $17,000 before he has to start paying back Social Security, $1 for every $2 he goes over that threshold until he's age 65. So he really needs to sit down and find out, number one, how much he would get and how much wages he's going to get, because if he's going to get that much wages, he'll end up paying back most of all that he's getting, so it wouldn't make any sense. Mike, what do you think?
I just want to say, Karen, you should call Mike Hayflick at our office. He's our certified Social Security claiming strategist, and there's a lot that goes into claiming Social Security. So part of it is he still going to work, but part of it is, what's your Social Security? What's your life expectancy? How's your family history? I mean, these are all things that we're going to take into account when it comes to Social Security.
Let me add one other thing to that, Karen, and that goes back to the financial planning software that we use. The other element to this is, what if, God forbid, something happened to him? Does your lifestyle allow you to live with him locking in Social Security at a lower amount? So that's all things you got to take into account, meaning, boy, what if he does wait to 64, 65, 66? That's a much bigger number that now if something happens to him, your Social Security goes away. You don't get both. You get one or the other. And so sometimes people forget about that. They think, well, I'm just going to take it and be fine. It'll be fine. But if we lose the other Social Security, does your lifestyle now allow you to be able to survive? And sometimes people say, boy, I really do need that higher Social Security number if something was to happen to him. So I would encourage you to pop into our office, ask for Mike Hayflick. He's a certified Social Security claiming strategist. There's only 4 in the entire state, and 3 of them are on our team. And he can really look at all the the positives, negatives. Do I take it now? Because of course the old school way was, which is true, was like, you know what, boy, if I take it now, I get to accumulate it, and if I wait till 66, if something happens, I'm going to lose that, and that is true. But there's other things that need to be factored in.
And again, if they want Mike Hayflick, he's at 633-1515.
Yep. And the biggest thing is, as you said, Esther, a lot of times people think, I'll take it at 62 and I'll go back to work. No, you're not. They're going to take it back.
You're limited. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's go back to the phones, and we got Linda. Nope.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, Linda, how can we help you?
Oh, Esther, I wanted to talk about the customs and borders issue.
Yeah. Talk about it. Hey, we got 2 guys, no opinions here. What can we help you with, Linda?
Well, I thought I would inform you about a couple of things.
Sure.
And I have about 5 points I could make, and I think this might give another view to the people that think that we should let them in.
Sure.
Okay. My son works for customs.
Okay.
The problem is when people say they're seeking asylum, and they all do it, then you have to let them in, and they get held until somebody processes. So his feelings are, if you get in here illegally, you should be turned around, sent right back to the country you came from, and then go through the process.
Right.
Okay? So there's my 1 point.
Okay.
Next, let me tell you about something interesting that happened with Sears. Last Thanksgiving, I had washer and dryer delivered because of their big sale of have it delivered and we will install it for you. It was installed. It was brought in. Who comes to the door but Gustavo from El Salvador and a gentleman from Africa? And I started speaking with him. My son was here. He started asking a casual question like, where are you from? Okay, you were here as a student. What did you do? The guy said, I stayed here. My son called ICE. Those 2 were taken away. And at first, I was horrified to see it. I mean, they came. These guys had practically no credentials. Sears hired them, put them on Enterprise trucks coming up from New Jersey, because New Jersey is a hotbed for illegal aliens. These guys were then taken away, and I at first felt awful as this lady walked them out to the cars and said, you know, you've got to go. So I said to my son, I feel bad. He said, Mom, do you realize these people could have been wanted for murder?
And they were in your house.
Terrorists? Could have been involved with human trafficking.
Sure. No record of it, by
Right.
the way, right? No record. You don't know what they did over there.
Exactly. They could have been selling drugs, and once they got the cash delivered back here, they just left it and became...
Well, only 90% of the heroin comes over illegally from that southern border. Only 90%. Not all of it.
Okay. Now, here's another thing he said. We need a law that says if you get here illegally, you are immediately being sent back. Now, they come into Canada, and it is from Canada. They come into Buffalo. Buffalo wants lots of business. He said, you get these women that are 8 months pregnant with no husband and a couple kids, and they say they're coming in to see whatever event, a fair or whatever. He said, you know they're not going to go back.
Right. And then the children become U.S. citizens once they're born over here.
I think they call that anchor babies.
Yep.
Mexico is building a wall on their southern part. So why are they letting the Central American refugees into their country and then pushing them on up to us? Okay? That's a problem. And you know what the big problem is going to be right now with Mexico? And my son is on his way down there as we speak to work at the southern border. The problem now, Mexico is letting in the Romanians. He said, there's your next big group coming in.
Well, God bless your son and
Yes.
keep him safe.
Tell him thanks for his
Hey,
service.
thanks for your phone call, Linda.
Thanks.
All right, thanks for your
Appreciate it.
comments. Yeah, but it comes back down to we have to change the law, and that's where I'm at.
Well, we are the most generous nation on the
we are.
face of the
Without-
earth.
But,
But
the
something
thing
happens
is,
anywhere
everybody
globally.
being mad at each other is not.
We're getting
the
taken
solution.
advantage of.
Yep.
We need politicians that are going to act.
I think we need strong Republican conservative politicians that
I
are
agree.
willing to
Why
stand
doesn't
together
somebody
and move the needle.
put a finger on who are the rhinos? Why isn't that? Why do Republicans coddle somebody just because that's what their name is? That's what they were elected on. Why doesn't somebody
because there's no
point
true
that out?
Republicans anymore. There's conservatives, there's Democrat light,
Okay.
which is like Paul Ryan,
Yep.
and then there's liberal progressives all the way far to the left. That's what you have.
Let me add one other thing to that, because when they're running for office, they're very conservative.
Yeah, and then they
Every
then they
single
vote.
darn one of them
Yep.
are. They come into our studio all the time, and they tell us how they're going to stop Obamacare,
smaller government.
and cut our taxes, and smaller government. And then they get in, and we think, "What the?
Who are you?
Who are you?" like you've just become the monster that you ran against.
But it's
And by the way,
but
the
who-
next go around,
is there a watchdog though that
No.
reports on
Well,
this?
the voters. It should
Yeah,
be the
well,
voters,
the
right?
Tea
It should be
Party.
us.
A voter. What does a voter know?
Let me
He
say
watches
this.
the TV.
T. New York.
The TV has that.
Let-
There's always a commercial that makes somebody look bad.
let me say, reach out to Russ Thompson, T. New York, get involved.
Yeah.
That's
There
exactly
you go.
right.
Tea
Russ
Party's
out
all
there.
Let's
across
go
the
back
country,
to the
especially now.
phones, and we got Karen in West Seneca. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Esther. How are you?
Good. What can we do for you?
I have a financial question about a 403B.
Okay. You got the financial guys here.
Okay. I got I'm getting a kind of late start at about 50, at 50. So the problem is with the research I've done, my employer only allows me to use a certain group. There's like 5 or 6 people to choose from.
Okay.
And I'm having a really hard time because as I'm researching,
Yeah, they're not that good.
they're not that good.
Yeah.
Hearing people say, oh, there's fees that are hidden, and I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, a few things. I'm sorry, what was the name?
This is Karen.
Karen. Sorry, Karen. So a few things. Depending on how much money you're going to put away, Karen, you may want to just use an IRA account as opposed to a 403B because you're going to have an unlimited amount of options. Okay, so that's number one. I highly doubt you're getting some kind of a match with your 403B.
I'm not.
Okay, so really it comes down to the amount of money you're going to put away. Okay, Number two, though, some of these 403B accounts, and we have a 403B division that it's in the process of really getting built
launched.
out, really, because we see at the Financial Guys, we see the demand for and the need for better service and more options there. But every once in a while, a 403B, though, somebody will say to us, well, you've got 5 options, but one of those options may lead you into a different portal that then gives you even more and more options that you never knew you had. So what I would tell you to do is call us throughout the week, 633-1515. I'll get you in touch with Brian, who happens to be the head of our 403B department, and let us do some advanced research on exactly the 5 options you have. Because sometimes through one of them will allow us to be able to get to a different portal. Or oftentimes, and every once in a while, we can talk to the institution about adding on another option.
Right.
And then if you're not putting away a ton of money, maybe you just use an IRA account instead of a 403B.
Can I ask a question? With an IRA, is that going to be, from what I understand, the benefit of this 403B is because it's going to be pre-tax money?
Yep, same thing.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm. The only thing is on a 403B, you can put a lot more money away.
That's right.
On an IRA, you're going to be limited to, how old are you, Karen?
50.
Okay, so you're going to be limited to $6,500.
Okay. So even though you're not on my list, I can still call you and you may be able to try to help me.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
for the call.
Anybody else out there, always use this as a resource. You can always pick up the phone, call one of our folks at the office. We're always happy to help. I know your
and
office is the same.
That's exact. I mean, like we were talking before the show or on your show about the 20% pass through, and all these businesses, all these small businesses out there who should be taking advantage of it. They don't realize that their rental property loss can affect their 20% pass through. I mean, because now rental property qualifies for the pass through as well. So you got to kind of sandwich all this all together, put it in a basket, see how it's all going to net out, and you want to make sure you do it now because January's too late.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to the
By the way, your number is 632-7886, and I'll tell you, we use it a lot.
As we have it on speed dial.
All right,
call
Mr.
Esther's
Bill,
office.
how can we help you, sir?
Hi, Esther.
Hi.
Question.
Yeah.
I'm self-employed.
Okay.
Going on Medicare.
Okay.
First, is the cost of the health insurance through Medicare and the Part B tax deductible?
Well, okay. You mean through your business or as an itemized deduction? All right. Well, first of all, if you're self-employed, you're still going to be working, right?
Yes.
All right. So there is an adjustment for self-employed health insurance deduction. So you'll be able to take that as an adjustment. That's still the same.
Good.
Okay.
That's and the last thing is we want Glenn Wiggle to run for governor.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Have you guys ever thought about politics?
I almost ran for mayor.
We have to get the show up, though. That's the only
but
problem.
I mean bigger.
Well, we'll see.
Oh,
small kids still.
well,
We're
see,
still
Bill?
10-year-olds.
We may have a first here. Hey, thanks for calling.
Thanks, Bill.
All right. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930. 8030930, star 930 yourself. We got Mike and Glenn here, the financial guys. Now's the time to get some great they're not just talking politics. I got them to be nailed down with finances. We're going to go to John in Grand Island. Hi, John. How can we help you, sir?
Hey, I had a question in regards to that Section 121.
Okay.
With the tax exemption for the capital gain.
Uh-huh.
Well, we had sold a house, it was last year in Arizona, and we had owned one outside of Ohio. And we've lived in both of exactly 2 years. My wife mostly lives in the Arizona one, and I in Ohio. I'm wondering, can you claim both of them in the same year?
No, if you're married filing a joint return, then you can only have one primary resident. All right. So now, if your wife's primary residence was in, you said Arizona?
Yes.
And your primary residence was in a different state, and you're married filing separately, and then you would take your primary residence and her primary residence, and you'd be able to exclude up to $250,000 on each. But if you're both living at the same residence and the other one was a second home, then you wouldn't be able to exclude the capital gain on it at all. It has to be a primary residence.
No, they were both our primaries before. So
they can't be both your primaries. It's one or the other.
Oh, his feet are in one house and his arms are in another.
Right. Okay?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thanks, John.
Well, let me ask you this though: what if you have to be living in the house? You have to be your primary residence 2 out of the previous 5 years.
Right.
So what if you lived in the Arizona house for 2 years?
Right.
You kept the house,
Right.
but then you moved to Ohio or whatever.
Right.
You bought that house, and then in the
then-
5th year you sold both.
Then you can exclude them.
You can exclude both
Yeah.
because they were both your
Right,
primary
they were both
residence
your primary
at a
residence.
time for 2
out
of the
5
previous
years.
5 years.
Right.
So hopefully that's what this guy did.
Right.
Maybe.
And I will tell you, a lot of people don't realize that the Buffalo real estate market is very hot right now.
Yeah.
And you could pretty much list your house and sell it at a price that none of us ever thought they'd be able to get, and the gain would be up to $500,000 tax free.
I was going to say some of the real estate market's hot.
it.
Yeah. Certain parts of the real estate market, you get up in the upper edges, and over 500,000, it still seems to be tough here.
What do you mean?
The more expensive homes here are still a little bit tougher
You mean
to sell.
moving? You mean in order to move?
No, I'm just saying the real estate market in general. If you look at the Western New York real estate market, it's pretty hot between the 100,000 to like
the more
300, 350.
right.
But you get up into $500,000 plus homes, and it still takes
Western
time.
New York is not very the real estate market here is remarkable.
Well, it's because the roads are great.
As a matter of fact,
Well, it's 'cause
I'm
so
a lot in Florida. I was telling somebody the other day, I think it's less expensive to have dinner in Florida than it is. In Western New York than in Florida.
Well,
it's
that'll
very
change.
interesting.
Wait till they go to $15 an hour minimum wage in the restaurants, and that'll be $18
Well,
for that burger.
but it just shows you. It's funny. I was showing Glenn an article before. The first robotic burger was made this week in San Francisco. So a fast food restaurant from start to finish, right? The robot made the food and handed it out, right?
Wow.
So what does that tell you? That tells you that there's some conservative still left in San Francisco that's telling everybody, here's a finger. I'm not going to tell you which one, but we're winning, right? Because you wanted ridiculous wages. You wanted all this stuff. We'll just have the robot do it.
But
and
it
when
all
you look,
sounds so good, doesn't it? I mean,
when you look at Buffalo, though, and I guess my point is when you look at Buffalo and you look at New York State, there's still going to be pockets of success. And when you look at Western New York, for Buffalo to win, by the way, that means Syracuse and Utica are probably losing. And we both did a radio show on this. It was funny because I did a radio show about maybe 2 years ago about the fact that for Buffalo to win and continue to grow, Syracuse is going to lose, Utica is going to lose. I got my hair cut after. And I just popped into a place, I'm talking to Ace, and she said, "Oh, yeah, I'm here from Syracuse." It's really why? She goes, "Well, my sister went to UB, and we wanted to be in a city. We couldn't afford New York City, but we didn't want to be too far away from our family, but far enough away. And so Buffalo was the only other choice." And so I said, I'm thinking of the fact I just did that radio show.
The reason you're saying you lose is because the population's getting smaller.
Well, here's the thing:
you're stealing from other areas.
Right. Yes, you're stealing from other areas. That's the only way that's
right.
And the funny thing is as great as Western New York has been doing, we're still growing at half the rate of the rest of the country, which is pitiful, right? I mean, you think about we hear how great this waterfront is, all this explosive growth. But yet we're still growing at half the rate of the rest of the country. What happens when we go into a recession? Well, we go right back into where we were, right? It's sad.
But that's when you listen to politicians. It's all about, it's like a cornucopia of things we're going to do for you. We're going to give you more wages. We're going to give you more welfare. We're going to give you
that's
free
the problem.
education. But somebody,
Andrew,
in my economy, somebody's got to pay for it.
Right.
But that's the mentality that we have today, though, is that we're promising. At what point do we say, go out and get a job? The government is not here to provide. The government is not here to give you housing assistance and food stamps and unemployment insurance and blah, blah. The government should be here to protect our borders, protect our nation with the military, and work on infrastructure, right? So make sure we have roads and bridges and things like that.
So then we go back to that original question. How do we accomplish that? Because right now we're
build a wall.
We're two groups shooting at each other, and this is not.
Well, they're the
working,
ones doing most
opinion.
of the shooting. To be honest here, but
you got to build a wall. Well,
I think overall you got to shrink the size of government. I really do. I think we've gotten to a point now where the Republicans play the same game as the Democrats, and that is we want big government because we're just going to hand the power cube back and forth to each other, and we're going to be able to wield this monstrosity. And it's not right. We got to get back to smaller government. Look at what the tax cuts have done. It's exploded our economy and put consumer confidence to the roof by giving people's money back.
By the way, the tax cuts, record amount of money brought in this quarter to the Treasury, right?
We're getting yelled
Gave
at by
people
Frank in
more
there.
of their money back. And the government brought in more money.
All right, Mr. Goulias, the
Thanks,
tax
Esther.
lady
Thanks,
from EG
Esther.
Tax. If you need the best tax help, give EG Tax a call. Our website's egtax.com. Mike and Glenn, thanks for joining
Thank you.
me. That
It's
was
been
so
fun.
fun.
Yes, thank you.
And Mike and Glenn at the Financial Guys, 633-1515. Till next week. Congratulations, all you graduates. Bye-bye.